Are you an early elf or a Christmas Eve elf? Hi, this is Kim with Mom's Creative Moments. Welcome back to my channel. We are at the very tail end of my 12 days of layouts for Christmas. Just 2 more and we will have done all 12, I believe. I think this is number, what is this? This is number 10. So we have 3 more. This one is super cute. I know you're going to love it. And even if you don't have the papers that I used for this, you could still do this one on your own, I think, if you have one of the older collections. So I hope you will join me for this one. It turns out so cute. And even if you are a Christmas Eve elf and you're working feverishly to get your projects done, and you know who you are, I'm actually in that camp this year. I have one project that I have yet to start, and we have a week. Oh, a week. Less than a week when this is coming to you on Friday. Less than a week to get this project finished, because actually I need to be able to gift it on Tuesday. So you know what I'm going to be working feverishly on over this weekend. I hope you're well and ready to go. Let's check out my workspace and we'll get started. All right, so this is my workspace for today, and we are going to be playing, as I mentioned before, we're going to be playing with the Santa's Workshop Black Friday bundle, so for this layout. But even if you don't have that Black Friday bundle, you could still do this layout, and I think it's going to be super cute. We are going to be using some stickers in particular that come with this Black Friday bundle, but even if you don't have these stickers, if you have, and this is going to sound really crazy, but if you have one of our Christmas collections from a way back, and I'm talking probably at least 5 years ago, 4 years ago, 5 years ago, maybe even longer, that had the elves. Do you remember the elves and how cute they were? You could totally do this layout if you still have any of those borders or stickers or anything like that. If you don't, then you could still do this. It's just you're gonna have to improvise the border that's gonna go across the bottom of each of the pages. Okay, but you'll see when you watch the video, and then you can make that decision for yourself if you don't have this collection. If you have this collection, pull it out. We're gonna have some fun with it today. I have the 2 tone-on-tone dark green gift pages. These have, what do they have on the back? These have a dotted darker red color on the back, but we're going to use the gift side. I have 2 pieces of red cardstock, CM red cardstock. I have 2 pieces of, and I don't know if you're going to be able to, yeah, you can see this on camera. Can you see those cross-hatched lines? Diamonds that are on there. See that? Isn't that pretty? So these papers came from Close to My Heart, which sadly you can't get anymore, but they were, and let me just tell you, so if you have it, you can use it. These were Close to My Heart Irresistibles, and they came in a variety pack of designs. They were white papers with all different kind of sort of like foil on it. Designs. And so I'm going to use 2 of those papers. If you don't have that, just get out some bright white cardstock, or even some white shimmer paper would be cute in this layout. And then we're going to use, I think we're only going to need 1 page of this green diamond paper with all the cute little presents on it. We might need the 2nd page, but I think we're going to get by with only needing one of those sheets. Okay, so let's see where we get. Okay, this design is based on a a blog post by Krislyn Mattei, which will not surprise you at all. But her blog post is totally different than the way this layout's going to turn out. This is what hers looked like. Okay. And ours is going to be different. Just trust me. Okay. So first of all, we are going to start by framing and gutting some papers. Okay. So let's just, what are we going to start with here? I'm going to start with the green because that's going to be on the very bottom. So we might as well start with the green. All right, so I'm just going to scoot all of those kind of to the side and grab my 12-inch trimmer. All right, I'm going to do these at the same time, and we are going to create a 1-inch frame with this green paper, okay? So if you are not familiar with making a 1-inch frame, I know I've said it before in other videos, but new people are joining my channel all the time, so I will not hesitate to say it again. If you don't know how to make a 1-inch frame, go to the video that will show up somewhere in the neighborhood over here on this red field, and because my wonderful editor will do that so that you can easily access my video that will explain how to make a frame. Okay, so if you don't know how to make a frame, jump over there and it will explain all about how to do it. It'll even give you a quick cheater tip or two. And so if you don't know how to do this already, just go ahead and jump over there. Otherwise, I'm just going to do this real quick and then we'll move on. All right, so there are our frames. There's 2 of those. Then we're going to get our red cardstock and we're going to cut this down to, let's see, we're going to cut this down to an 11¼ inch square. So I'm going to take 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to measure 3/4 of an inch on the right-hand side of my cutting line. Okay, so I've stacked my paper so that I only have to make my cuts once, as long as I can keep my papers together. So we're going to just turn it once and then cut another 3/4 of an inch off to make that 11¼ inch square. Okay. Now I'm going to take this 11¼ inch square and I'm going to cut it into, let me just make sure I'm doing this right. Okay, so we are going to get a portion of this, not the whole thing. Okay, so follow along with me, will you? Okay, so we are going to take this first side and we are going to cut, we're going to start at 3/4 of an inch. Okay, I've measured it. My paper is sitting at 3/4 of an inch right here. Okay, then we're going to start cutting at 3/4 of an inch. So that means that the lower half of my housing is at 1¾ of an inch. Okay, or we're going to stop cutting at 10½ inches down here. That means my blade housing will be at 11½ inches. Okay, so we're going to come down here. Okay, so we're stopping 3/4 of an inch before that edge. All right, now I'm going to turn this, and again we are going to cut or line it up at 3/4 of an inch. Okay, so lining it up against the top shoulder of my trimmer at 3/4 of an inch on this right-hand side, lined up with that line. Okay, we're going to start cutting at 3/4 of an inch, but we want to stop at 2½ inches. Okay, so right now my paper stops at 11¼ and I want to stop at, let's see, 11¼ 10¼ 9¼ I want to stop at 8¾ Okay, that means my blade housing is going to stop at 9¼ If that's confusing, then you may need to jump back and review how frames are made. But so let's do that. Let's do the math again just to make sure I didn't goof something up. Okay, so my paper goes to 11 1/4. I want a 2.5 inch. I want to stop cutting at 2.5 inches. So 2.5 inches is going to be 10 1/4, 9 1/4. It's going to be 8 3/4. That's 2.5 inches up. To stop cutting at 8 3/4 of an inch, my blade housing has to stop at 9 3/4 of an inch. So just to make sure, I'm going to place a clip there, just because I don't want to get excited and goof it up. Okay, so I'm going to start cutting at the 3/4 of an inch where I've already cut right here. You can see that line, just a little bit of a shadow on camera there. Okay, and we're going to cut all the way down. Okay, now I'm going to flip my paper over and I'm going to do the same thing on this side. So line it up at 3/4 of an inch. Bring my blade housing back down. I'm going to start cutting at my cut line at 3/4 of an inch in this way and stop at 2.5 down here where my clip is, just to remind me. Okay, now I'm going to flip my paper back over and I'm going to remove my clip. I'm going to slide my paper all the way through my cut side. Okay, I have one more edge to cut on this side and I need that to be at 2.5 inches. So I'm going to line it up so that my paper is at 2.5 inches. And I'm going to cut from this cut to this cut. So we're going to start at 3/4 of an inch, come down and stop at 3/4 of an inch. I can't see where I am, so there we go. All right, so let's see if I cut through well enough that I don't have to do too much pulling. Not bad. Okay, so that saves us some cardstock to live to scrap another day. Okay, so we'll set those over here. Someone's here visiting. I wonder who that is. All right, so then I'm going to cut some our white paper that came from Close to My Heart. Okay, I'm going to put my arm out here and I want to cut a piece that is 11 inches. 11 inches is super easy because I just measure an inch to the right with my 12 by 12 paper and go ahead and cut that whole side off. Okay, 11 inches. That's easy. Now, the next measurement is going to be 9 1/4. So I'm going to turn this around. So now I have 12 inches this way, 11 inches this way. Okay, 12 inches this way. Now I'm going to cut this at 9 1/4. Okay, so I'm going to cut this over here 9 1/4. Measuring it over here to the side. I'm going to go ahead and cut that bit off. Set that over there. Okay, so those pieces are going to go there. Now our green paper, we're going to take this bit and we're going to turn it sideways and we're going to cut 2 pieces at 3 inches. 3 inches wide. Okay, so 3 inches. We're going to do another one at 3 inches. Okay, then we're going to take those and we're going to cut those at 8 1/2. So we're going to measure those out to 8 1/2 out here on the left. And these pieces are just extra. We'll set those aside. Okay, set those pieces over here. 2 of those. And then, okay, this part is the piece that I am unsure how I want to do this. No, actually, I'm not unsure. Okay, let's measure and see how wide this piece is. This should be 6 inches. It is. Okay, so 6 inches. Perfect. I'm going to cut 2 6x4 pieces to create 2 6x4 mats with this. So this was the green diamond paper. I just flipped it over. We're going to make 2 6x4 mats. And I'm going to cut this one in half and make 2 3x4 mats. And then we are going to need to make a few more mats, but that's okay. That'll get us started. Okay. And then I have one more piece that I need to cut, and I'm going to bring in the wood paper from this collection. Okay. So this has a fun stripe on the back, but I think we're going to use the wood side. But let's see. Which way do we want the wood to be going? Okay, so I'm going to cut along with the wood grain rather than against the wood grain this way. All right, so I want 2 pieces that are 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to turn this around and use this side so that I get a little bit more variety. And I'm going to cut 2 3/4 of an inch pieces. And these are not going to go along with the sections at all. But that's okay. It'll be just fine for what we're going to use this for. Okay. All right. So we're going to set that wood grain paper aside. Now that should be all the paper we need, except for we may need a few more mats. But we'll cross that bridge when we get there. Okay. So let's get to assembling this. Okay. I'm going to put those aside for a second and put these aside for a second. We are only going to work with what will end up being our base first. So I need 1 green sheet and 1 red sheet. 1 green piece, 1 red piece. Okay. I'm going to grab my adhesive. And I'm going to go ahead and add adhesive all the way down, right on the edge of this. I know it may look like you can go ahead and add adhesive wherever you want, willy-nilly, but I'm going to suggest to you that it will be best if you put your adhesive as close to that outer edge as you can. It doesn't have to be right on the edge, but it just needs to be close. And that's because we are going to add this on top of our green paper, and we want to center it the best we can. We're going to end up with roughly 3/8 of an inch on all sides, and if you need to measure it, you can. By all means, measure. Okay. All right. So there's one piece, and we're going to do the other piece real quick. All right, so then I'm going to grab my white paper, flip it over because we want that pretty design on the outside, and we're going to add my adhesive again right on the outside edge of this. That's important because if you don't add your adhesive right on the outside edge, then you will because we gutted the paper underneath, you run the risk of sticking your paper right down to your desktop. All right, so we're just arranging this so that it has 1/8 of an inch all the way around the 3 sides, not the bottom. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and adhere that down, and I'm going to do the same thing for this other base. All right, so there we have our 2 base sheets ready to go. Now, the next thing we are going to do is go ahead and place our wood pieces, okay? So these are going to go, I think I'm liking the wood side best. So we're going to use the wood side. I'm going to use repositionable just in case. I'm going to leave my options open because if I use repositionable, then I can just rub it off and change my mind if I want to. Okay, so I'm going to place this. It's going to go all the way across the bottom, about a 1/2 inch up on the red. That's where I'm putting it, and I'm hoping that's the right spot because this layout made all kinds of sense in my head, but honestly, I have not put it together yet because I only got one of these packages of papers, and I didn't want to goof it up. All right, so I'm doing the best I can to try to make it right the first time. Okay, so I'm lining my pages up, and the reason I'm doing that is so that I can make sure that my other wood piece is going down at the same place. Okay, so just like that. Then we're going to take the 12-inch stickers that came with this cute paper, and we're going to take our elf heads, our elf, elf heads. I don't know what else. I don't know how else you would say that. Is there another politically correct way to say that? I don't think there is. Okay, we're going to put the head right across the top of our wooden plank. Just careful to make sure that that lines up just nice and pretty. And I'm going to do the same thing on this other side. I'm starting to think that maybe we didn't want this to be quite so wide, but you know what? What's done is done. It's going to be okay. So I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so we're going to use put our feet on the bottom, and they are going to be too tall. Look at that. Okay, so I need to cut that plank down. I need to cut it down, and I need to cut it down to probably 1/2 inch. All right, let's do that. Okay, so just to make this easy, I'm going to go ahead and leave my adhesive on the back and just stick this right down to my trimmer. And by placing it right along the right-hand side of my cutting mat, I'll be able to quick cut 1/4 inch right off. And then we'll see if that's going to actually be the right size. So I've got that down. Let's take our sticker and check it out. Okay, I think that will be okay. It's going to be a little bit off of my cardstock, but I think it will be okay. You could conceivably make that even less than 1/2 inch and make it more like 3/8 of an inch, and that would be okay also. All right. So this guy's going to go down right underneath my little people, my little elves. Let's make sure this one is lined up. Okay, there we go. All right, so then we're going to take their legs, and their legs are going to go right underneath them. And so lining up the first one is really the most tedious of processes. The rest of them should line up pretty easily. You get the first one in the right spot, and then just make sure that all of their legs are coming right underneath that beam that they're leaning over. Aren't they cute? I just think they're super cute. All right. Gonna get this one put on here too. Now, can you see what I'm seeing? This is crooked. That's going to drive me nuts. So we're going to redo that really quick. I'm going to straighten the feet, and then we're going to straighten the rest of it. That's a lot. This side is a lot higher. So I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to take these pieces off, and we're going to line them up with this side, because I want them to look the same. So I don't want one side to be shorter than the other. So I'm just going to be really careful how I lift this sticker up so that it doesn't tear. Here, we'll get this one put down, and then I'm handling less things. Lining those papers up. Then I can line this up. Okay, there. Now we can lift this one up. Okay. Give me just a second. We'll get back to you, little elves. I'm gonna add a little adhesive to this. I feel like after we've pulled it up and put it down and pulled it up and put it down so many times, it's needs a little more sticky. Okay, so then we're gonna add this right on top of our elves' legs. Like that. And then add their heads on top. Cute, cute. You know what? I think that's a better way to go in that order. Put their feet on first, and then put the beam, and then put their faces and heads peeking over. sort of looks like there's snow on top of the beam and they're peeking over. I love it. Okay, now next is going to be these two pieces, and these we're going to cut into a cute flag. So get your long scissors, because this being 3 inches wide, it's going to need a little bit of help. So we're going to do the right hand side of our 3 by 8.5 inch piece here. We're going to line up those two corners, because even if you have the flag punch, this is not going to fit into the flag punch. And I always, when I make my own flag with my scissors, I always start not from the folded edge. I know other people start from the folded edge, but I feel like you're better apt to get the right dimensions if you start from the corner and fold and cut in. So that's going to give me about 3/4 of an inch deep is what I'm doing here for that flag. We're going to do the same thing with the other one. Try to make them about the same depth so that they are going to look similar on your page. All right, so now we have our 2 flags. Now, the only thing about doing this as a 2-page layout versus a 1-page layout is you get 2 different flags going, and I don't know any other way of doing it unless you maybe cut the opposite end of this one and make it come in from the other side, or you turn maybe turn one of them. Well, no, I think that would be the only other option for me. But anyway, for me, I'm just going to go ahead and do them this way. So I'm going to take each of these flags and I'm going to add some repositionable adhesive to them, because whenever I'm dealing with a flag with a point, I always like to use my repositionable adhesive. And this is going to go about, I would put it at least 1/4 of an inch down from the top edge of the white paper that we used. Okay, and we're just going to make that float all the way across our page. Try to make sure it is not crooked like mine was just a second ago. Okay, so like that. If you're wondering why I'm holding my adhesive like this, it's because my handle broke and I have a new one, but I've been trying to wait till I have used up my cartridge so that I just don't have to fuss with moving cartridges around. I probably should just move the cartridge, but you know, it's more fun, I guess. More challenging? I don't know. Because I need more challenges in my life. Ha ha ha. Okay, so here we go with our cute ribbon that's continuing across there. Another thing you could do is, instead of cutting this to 8.5 inches, leave one that is the full length of the white, at least, so an 11-inch piece, and then just cut this one so that you only have one flag and it looks like your ribbon goes all the way across, which I didn't think about ahead of time, but that is an option and would look really nice, I think. Okay, so then we have our mats. We've got a couple of vertical mats and a couple of smaller ones. So doing the same layout, we would go like this, and we could do 2 like this, or we could do a couple of them like this, or we could turn one sideways maybe. I don't know. I think I'm going to cut a couple of mats from this wood paper just so that we have the wood paper showing up in another area and another space on our page. So I'm going to do another 4x6, and then we'll make a couple of smaller ones. I think that's what I'm going to do. So we'll cut a piece that's 4x12, turn it, and cut a 4x6, And then cut that last 4x6 into two 4x3s. And then we've got a nice variety of mats, I feel like, for this layout. Okay, so you could do maybe swap one of these out for a wood one. And maybe move, you know what, I'm feeling like maybe these need to go over here on the right hand side, and we can use this and put those up kind of like so. What do you think? Then I'm not worried about the fact that that ribbon doesn't go quite all the way across. What do we think? Well, I think I like that. All right, so here are our cute stickers that go along with this cute collection. And I am going to attempt to try to put some of these together to make something to add to the cuteness of this layout without taking away from it, which is kind of a challenge for me because I struggle with my I second guess myself when it comes to clusters. Even though I know the basics for creating a cluster, every time I go to put one together, I sort of wonder, is this really the best use of these stickers? But sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Okay, I'm going to use Wishes Come True and this letter to Santa because I just think it's super cute. And I'm loving this cute little mailbox that says Letters to Santa on it. And I'm adding it behind the Wishes Come True because I just think it will help bring out the word, because I'm going to place it on this, over this green up here, and I want it to pop. I don't want it to get lost in all the green. So I think adding the letter and adding the mailbox will help with that. So I'm going to add some foam squares to help give it dimension and pull it up off the page, and then we'll sprinkle it a little bit with some powder to keep it from sticking down. And everything will be fantastic. That's what it says in the small print, right? Okay, so we're going to do a couple of those. We're going to do a small one there. Not the smallest, but a smaller one. And a smaller one right there. And maybe one of these little tiny jobbies right in the middle. Okay, so that one's going to go there. And we'll dust it in just a minute. Let's look at the rest of this layout and try to determine what we want to do. So I'm thinking we need something here and possibly something here. But I don't think I'm going to add anything else to this page. So, and I was also thinking that maybe it would be fun to add something to the fence that these guys are holding on to. So, knowing that, I kind of thought maybe a sign that said Elf Made with Love, or maybe we could put that here and add some stars to it. Or present or two. Elf Made with Love, and I'll grab this little present and this little present. And we'll kind of add them here in the corner. And then add some foam squares to this too. And then up here in this corner, let's flip this over so we can get the full effect. All right. And then, oh, I also thought it would be so cute to take this cute little train and make it run on that beam right there. It's going to cover up a couple of our elves, which is kind of a bummer. But I think it will be super cute to have that just sort of running along the top of the wooden plank. And if you got this collection, then you also have the punch, which makes a super cute train. My sister-in-law, my niece, her daughter, made a super cute train using that punch and adding colors to it and stuff. And so it's just darling. I think we'll put the train down there and maybe cover up just a couple of those cute little elves. Not that I want to cover the elves, but I think the train is neat and I want to add it. And let's see, I think we will add magic behind every toy. But which toy should we use? I feel like either the rocking horse or the teddy bear. Maybe just the teddy bear would be a nice addition. Maybe we could just pop up the teddy bear and say magic behind every toy. And that'll pull a little bit of, well, even a little bit more red up here into this corner. And then if we felt like it needed more of a title, you could actually add a title across the banner here. But I feel like this is enough of a title kind of over here. We also need some journal space, which I'm taking up with all my embellishments. So that's not cool. So maybe we'll overlap this just a little bit with those. So we can journal in here. We can move this a little bit more. How do we want to do that? Actually, maybe we don't even need that. Maybe we could say Elf Made with Love and put our teddy bear next to that. And not even worry about it with our train down here. What do you think? And then we can journal right here. I kind of like that idea of leaving this space open to write the story. I think we're going to do that. All right, so I'm going to get busy adhering these things, and then I'll be right back to show you the finished product. All right. All right. I believe that is all we need to do for this particular one. So we're going to make sure that we journal the story about these photos up here in this corner. And if should we have an extra photo that absolutely needs to be on here, we actually could put extra photos up here if we wanted to cut them real small. So there's lots more room for more if we wanted to add that on here. And actually on the sticker sheet are a whole bunch of small stickers that would make really cute little signs that you could do like all along this beam if you wanted to, instead of doing the train. So just another cute little idea for adding on to this super cute layout. I'm really pleased with the way that this has come together. Santa's Workshop is a super fun collection, and I hope that it's one that you have in your stash. And if you don't, I hope it's one that you can, modify and find some other ways of using this cute layout. Thanks to Krislyn for giving me the inspiration to put this together, and I hope it's one that you'll enjoy. Until next time, I hope you're ready for Christmas. It's right around the corner. Not much longer. I think we got about, at this point, maybe not even a week. So I hope you're ready. If you're not, I hope you're getting ready really quick. And until next time, I hope you have many more creative moments. Merry Christmas. We'll see you next time.